Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. This is Dan. Moses, we're celebrating Hanukkah, despite the fact that almost none of us are Jewish.
Well, half of us kind of are.
You're kind of Jewish?
Easy, Bob.
I'm a quarter Jew.
You're a quarter Jew?
Yeah, shalom, motherfucker.
So I should say shalom to you, but like a quarter of it, so it's like shh.
Yeah, you say that a lot. Do the end part first.
Justin, I guess we're in a little bit of a different island here because we're not Jewish.
No,
And
not at all.
We're going to have some questions, I guess, to get through this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a learning endeavor, and I just can't wait to find out about the Festival of Lights, baby.
Ibrahim Rabinowitz, very happy to be here, and I would actually like to open this, if I may, with a short prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Adonehu Malek Halom She'asa Rosim Lachuvena Ba'yesem Hahem Basem Hazeh. And now we begin this podcast about Hanukkah with the traditional Hanukkah prayer.
Hey, it sounded great to me.
Yeah, short round. Back me up here. He's going for my heart.
The one time you actually get up on the mic and actually talk, though.
Hello. Or should I say shalom?
Shalom's all around.
Yeah, shalom, bitches.
Ibra, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
We should also say shalom to our sponsor, The Underground. Located in historic Smithville Village, on the way to Atlantic City, is Jersey's coolest proprietor of rock and roll and punk rock apparel, horror merch, posters, accessories, and more. You can find them online at theoriginalunderground.com. The Underground, it's a bad store for bad people. I'd also like to take this time to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. We are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Rumble, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. If you are on YouTube and Rumble, smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, and get in on the conversation by joining us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right, gentlemen, we are celebrating a holiday that half of us don't celebrate, and I guess you quarter celebrate.
I get by.
I think he's Italian.
Are you saying Italians can't be Jews?
I don't
Family
know.
Guy
I don't know what I'm
definitely
saying.
said that.
I would just imagine they have a hard time coexisting in the same body.
We both like sweets.
You are really Fleming it up, baby.
Oh, that's more of a me thing. I'm not doing that just for this. I'm a little bit verklempt.
It's an old Lewis Black joke that Hebrew is just a phlegm-based language, so he's just playing the part.
Yeah. When in Rome, speak as the Jews.
A lot of Semitism.
Oh,
Isn't that how it goes?
Wow.
Jesus, right.
But
Where is he now?
Yeah. Well, where was he then?
He's not in on this podcast. But
Yeah.
I figured it's a good time, because we've been friends for a while, that we actually share some stories about you celebrating Hanukkah. And also we have a fair amount of Hanukkah parties, despite the fact that a lot of us don't actually celebrate it.
Yeah.
You've always been so inclusive of us
Yeah.
Gentiles.
Oh, yeah, come on.
and I
Yeah, no, that's fine,
appreciate it.
Justin. It's your turn to speak. Now, please talk for me. That's fine. That's fine.
It's a little weird.
Dan wasn't talking to me. That's fine. You guys have your turn. You haven't had enough time to talk on the mic. That's fine. Now, tell me about Hanukkah. You obviously know a lot about it. That's nice. No, maybe you can talk to me about it.
Rabbi Rabinowitz, have you even tried the tuna?
No.
I knew he was
It's
going to go.
entirely too much.
Record
Too much tuna.
Record time for that Nick Kroll reference.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stories you must have about Hanukkah.
I mean, I don't know how many stories I have, but what I will say is that as far as my family goes anyway, the way in which we traditionally celebrate it is in, I guess, a more low-key way. So obviously I know that most people, in this country anyway, we don't celebrate Hanukkah. It's not normally a thing, because most people are not Jewish. My mother was brought up 100% Jewish. So she was brought up with all of these different holidays and festivals and what have you. In my household, though, since my mother's the only proper Jewish member, I was brought up half Jewish and half, I guess, what you would just call more traditional. My father was Catholic.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to chalk that up to be. But the way in which we celebrate it is very straightforward. It's pretty much that my mother feels like we should celebrate the holiday because, that's your culture. It's important, know? So we do celebrate it. But she also, like, my mother is not very religious. So, like, a lot of it is lost. She just chooses not to, like, really lean on the religious aspect of it so much. So it's more just a matter of tradition. And in that way, we do find something of a blending of Hanukkah and Christmas and Easter and just all of
So wait, you're celebrating Easter at the same time that you're doing Christmas?
we just kind of blend them all together.
Take what you want.
My mother, and honestly, that is a great way to word it, because my mother very much so just does have a belief where she just, like, takes what she wants.
Yeah.
People say to me, well, like, I'll say to them, I'm like, oh, you know, we're doing Hanukkah this week. And they're like, oh, you're Jewish. And I'm like, yeah, my mom's Jewish, you know, so, like, therefore I am also Jewish. And they're like, oh, that sucks, you don't get to celebrate Christmas. And I'm like, oh, no,
whoa.
no, let me stop you right there. My mother's favorite holiday is Christmas. And she only knows about Christmas from movies and shows. Because
That's
she
all that America
never-
really knows about Christmas.
That's
It is
probably
really-
true, yeah. I don't know how Christian people do it, but she never experienced those things herself. So the things all tend to blend together. That said, though, as far as Hanukkah goes, it happens to take place during, well, I mean, I guess it's no coincidence, but it takes place during the general time period in which
That's such a
Christian
coincidence.
people celebrate Christmas and what have you.
That magical time between the 4th of July and, you know,
And the rest of the time.
Yeah, and December 25th.
It's the most magical time of the year.
Yeah, you've never experienced the real 4th of July then.
So for my family, I'll just describe Hanukkah as what it is. My mother calls us up. She calls us these days. You know, my mother, as old as she is, she's learned how to use text messages. So sometimes we get one of those, which is actually quite delightful because it avoids like a whole conversation about Hanukkah.
You get to avoid all the guilt-based inflection.
Exactly, yeah. You know, as a Jew, it's like I love my mother so dearly. I really do. But at the same time, like as a Jewish man, one of the things that you try to avoid doing is having a deep conversation about Judaism with your mother. It's because it's just like it's like it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
You know, and you don't really want to have it. You know, so the fact that she's discovered text messaging is just absolutely delightful. And so she informs us of the day in which we'll do this. Obviously, it's supposed to be multiple days, but we're shitty Jews, as are most Jews. So we just kind of like skate by and do the brass tacks of it.
Oh, you reformed bunch.
Yeah.
You
exactly.
rascals,
The
rapscallions.
bare minimum of it.
Do you do it in 8 days, or have you like truncated it down to 4?
Well, listen, it's all about what's convenient and most cost efficient, obviously.
Well, I hear the Jew in you talking, but I'm just asking the real questions.
we do it in whichever way Mother finds it to be the most efficient.
Oh, that's the most Jewish answer I've ever heard.
Exactly. That said, the way in which we typically go about it is that she will find a day which is agreeable to everybody. And I'm not going to lie, the truth of it is that, you know, Christians have Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And it's one day, you know, some people celebrate the day leading up, Christmas Eve.
Depending
Hanukkah's
how
a whole...
hard they want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, some people
Hanukkah's like
celebrate
if
it
you want to do
8 days
Hanukkah
too,
right,
you know?
if you want to do Hanukkah right, it's a fucking to-do.
Oh,
it's
for
like
sure.
a whole week.
It's
Like,
a lot of pomp and circumstance, isn't it?
I
Like, at least with the
live
ritual.
30 minutes for my mother. So it's like, and like, you know, I would love to see her every day of the week, but it's just not practical. So we usually pick out like a day or two, and we sum it up into that, which actually makes sense because, you know, the candle was only supposed to last one day. So
Right.
we're kind of wrapping it up back into one.
Huge candle, though.
But so we basically we just gather and we just go through the bullshit of it, which is pretty much, you know, we have a menorah, we light the candles, go through the rigmarole of it, which is basically the way in which that normally operates is that it's supposed to be the males of the family are supposed to light the candle. One person lights it, and it changes each day.
Right.
Since we don't meet up each day, instead, my mother gives each one of us the candle. We kind of pass it around, sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. One thing that Jews are really good at is cheating the rules, which is why we're great lawyers and great accountants.
And
Because-
funny.
Yeah, we know how to navigate around that type of thing. And my mother is no exception. So we basically meet up whenever it's convenient to do so, pass around the candle, and then we get a bunch of bullshit gifts because, you know, again, you know, we're Jewish, so we're cheap as shit. And so you're not going to like get great gifts every time. You know, there's fucking 8 of these days. So like you're going to get some sort of a bullshit gift each day instead of like one good one.
7 bullshit gifts in one day of extreme effort.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
That
pretty much
sounds like Christianity.
That's pretty much how we
Like a
go
lot
about
like
it.
that.
My older brother knows how to do like a little bit of the Hebrew that goes with it. I do not. And we more or less just like fumble our way through it. We hang out, and it's like, I guess it's just like any other, you know, bullshit religious holiday, really. really. We just do it as a matter of tradition.
Yeah.
None of us properly religious. But that's typical of really any Jew. Whether we call them Reformed or not, we're all just faking it, unless you're a Hasidim, in which case
Right.
you're not listening to this.
Yes.
Because you're not allowed.
Well, we only air on Saturdays.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. God bless the Sabbath, right?
Well, it is funny. So, we're from New Jersey. So you grow up a certain way, and like people are around you. Like we obviously have fairly close to us a large Hasidim population. And then Orthodoxy through different iterations. And then you have, what I would consider maybe you can call it whatever you want, but like more of what they would call Reformed.
They call it Reformed Jews.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say you guys are typically a lot more fun.
Well, yeah.
But we do have a Hasidim friend who's also a lot of fun himself. But
He is, yeah. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a bit.
we'll find him again someday.
One day.
What I didn't ever recognize when I was a kid was that, like, in other swaths of the country, say, like, the Midwest or Middle America, they don't have Jewish people at all.
Yeah, Jews are very much so, like, isolated in this country, and it's obviously a historical thing, because, like, the quantity of Jews in the world is so small.
Yes.
That I mean, obviously there's a historical element here, because there was a time, if you go back, several thousand years, there was a lot more Jews. You know? But these days, they're isolated within very specific communities. They tend to be more urban-based, so, like, here in New Jersey, it's Lakewood.
Yeah, of course.
And there's other big groups of Jews that are like in Chicago, but they're always in major cities. They're not like,
Yes.
we're not a very rural people.
No.
Well, that's only because they're good with diamonds.
Yeah. I don't know how that plays in, but you're right. Yeah. We're very good with diamonds. Yeah. Why, you got some diamonds?
I might know.
You want to talk about it? We'll talk about it after the show. That's fine. No, that's fine. You don't need to interrupt the show. That's fine. Danzel ain't got to edit this. That's no problem.
What, are you trying to do guilt? Because I am emotionless. I don't have those feelings.
Yeah, he doesn't care if it's a bit of a schlep.
Yeah, that's the quarter Jew of me. I don't give a fuck.
He's being a real schlemiel.
Schlemakel, Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated.
God.
It's actually
we're gonna do it.
It's a schlemazel, is what you were
You're a
going
fucking
for.
schlemazel.
I can't
Whoever
wait
you
for my
are.
mother to hear this.
If you're out there and you're the one that invented 23andMe, fuck you. Because this is what we have to deal with now.
Absolutely. He never knew he was
You
Jewish
only have
until...
Rabbi Rabinowitz over there's mother to thank for this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. No one's thanking
she
her.
wouldn't have done it if it didn't exist.
No, this is exactly why she did it.
She could
You
just
know
tell.
that for a fact.
So you just tell.
know, Ibram.
Don't you point at me.
I'll point. I'm pointing. Hold on, I got to refresh myself.
Oh, great. But what I would say, I grew up Presbyterian, whatever the fuck that means.
That's a weird sort of Catholic.
It's-
No. It's actually a form of
Protestantism.
Yeah.
I actually think
okay.
it's a type of Jew. Am I wrong?
Well, they're all types of
yeah.
Jews. Yeah.
Whatever it is,
You go far back in
it's definitely not Catholic, and it's Protestantism light.
Yeah.
I grew up with that, blah, 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 blah. I went to church and church school on Sundays,
The CCD.
the CCD type thing. Like I said, it's very light. They don't beat anything into you. You're like, you're here because your parents made you
Because
come here.
somebody has to
Kind of
babysit you
Yeah,
while they
yeah,
go out
yeah.
drinking.
That matches why I'm technically Presbyterian, because it's actually it's not even because I don't go to church.
Right,
I don't do
right.
any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm Presbyterian because my mom won an argument against my dad. That's the reason. My brother
That's
is,
how we all become Jewish.
That's how a lot of religion is perpetuated. Is just by one person in the family winning an argument.
yeah.
Yeah, my father was the quote-unquote religious one. Like, he's the one that went to church every Sunday, blah, blah, blah. We had to go. My mom was self-proclaimed heathen, got a free pass because she said if she walked in the doors, the building would burn down around her.
Yeah.
If I knew that line would have worked, I would have used it myself.
It doesn't work as well as you'd think.
No.
Like maybe back then it did,
No,
but
but yeah, I went to, church with Dad, and the way it worked in the Presbyterian church that I went to is that when you're a kid, you don't go to church as a kid, you go to this Sunday school
Yeah.
nonsense where you're being taught stuff by kids 3 years older than you.
all right.
Comically,
I have a
don't-
lot of different things to talk about that because I went to Catholic school. My father was Protestant Lutheran, but loved to go to Catholic church because you got to drink wine and take the Eucharist.
I was going to say, was he a masochist? Okay.
No, he just liked the
wine?
pageantry of it.
Oh, the pageantry. Okay.
Which was more than you would get at a Lutheran or a Protestant church.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like the Catholicism was a little bit more fun. Like it's not as fun as
Fun?
baptism. Yeah. Well, it's not as fun as the
isn't the
Baptist Baptist church, but I don't know if to him it was fun. So he would always bring me to church, and it was weird because I knew he wasn't. I went to Catholic school, and that was a chore. The only thing that was good about it was like every first Thursday of the month, we got to go to church instead of class, and then we got to eat the body of Christ and drink a little bit, like a sip of wine. And that was fun at the time. And then I was just like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah, so including that into my point, I didn't meet a proper Jewish person until probably I was a young adult. And especially, like, I met a lot of Jewish people, but, like, interacting, like, your mother.
Oh, yeah. My
Who
mother's
is-
like a proper Jew.
Oh, no,
She's got the
proper.
accent and
Yeah,
everything.
no, straight up, like, Brooklyn fucking...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, full
She grew
experience.
up in a Jewish building.
Yeah.
In like the Bronx.
The building
Like,
itself was
yeah.
Everyone, the only people who were alive, like different times, but this is the 1950s and 60s. So like everyone in her building was Jewish. You were only allowed to live there if you were a Jew. But their neighboring building was people who were like properly off the boat Italian.
Yeah.
And so like she's got like this like well integrated way about her where she doesn't like care about that type of thing. And it is so funny to me like growing up the way that I grew up where I did have this mix of thing in my own like family life, but at the same time it's that my mother having that upbringing where she's like, I know how she is, and she's like in many ways like a stereotypical Jew, and it's hilarious.
In a lot of
Believe me.
ways,
All
yes.
the jokes are great.
It's
Yes.
But at the same-
funny, like what stereotypical is as far as Jew is concerned.
it's so similar to Italian in a million
Well, no,
ways. Yeah.
they're the same. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it's like there's this big like guilt thing that
Yeah.
goes on. Like it's just like steeped in this like history.
Well, the
and
guilt,
whatnot.
the mother-son type dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally like a mama's boy, as is my brother, you know. And it's just it goes in that like vein like that. But there are the differentiating factors, and it gets to be when you find like the more extreme little nuances
Yes.
of it. I love to make fun of like my mother's accent and whatnot. And like, you know, and it really is true though, because it's like we make the joke all the time, as we were just making before, but it's like it really is true. Like when my mother came by here the other day, or it was like a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, and she's just like chilling out, and we're just having a nice time. And I get along so well with her. It's just like I have a really nice relationship. But at the same time, there's these like little nuances that slip in there, and I know that they do exist in other people's interactions.
Sure.
But they're very specific, I think, when you're Jewish. And it's like my mother's like chilling out here. The very same, like we're chilling at the bar and she's just chilling. And she's like, what's that over there on the stairs? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Is there something on the stairs that's bothering you? Let me fix it for you, Mom. And she's like, no, it's no problem. And she's like, but I just thought I saw something on
Yeah.
the stairs. And I'm like, well,
Those stairs.
Did you see something on the stairs?
The spacing of these
did you not?
stairs.
You know, like which one is it? Did you see something? You want me to fix something, or do you not want me to fix something? And she's no. I thought I saw something on the stairs. And then she gets up. So she tells me not to go and address it.
Right.
Which is like a classic fucking Jewish thing. And like she tells me not to do anything about it, which I was happy to do. Right. And she gets up and she gets a little bit closer and she's like, oh. Right. But she won't say what it is.
No.
Right. So she's like, oh. Long pause. I'm like, all right, what'd you say? And she goes, no. I thought that what I was seeing was a cat. And I'm like, what? You thought you saw a cat on the stairs?
I don't mean any disrespect, but what you're describing is like early onset schizophrenia.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think that all Jews are schizophrenic. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sitting there, and my sister is here for this. So she's like, my sister is also like, as opposed to myself and my brother, who I find like, we're like rednecks more than anything else, weirdly enough, because of the weird mix that we have. We find ourselves as being more like rednecks in that, right? Where we just have to like find our place to sit in the world, more or less. And so Amanda, my younger sister, she's just laughing because she already gets where this is headed. And I'm clueless because I'm a fucking idiot. And my brother is smart enough that even though he's just as dumb as I am, he's just like keeping his mouth shut.
No,
he just knows to just be quiet. Exactly, yeah. So I'm the only one who's dumb enough to be like, a cat? Tell me about this cat that you see. And my brother starts going off in this like Jewish accent, like, you know.
Well, your brother does it very well.
He does it super well, exactly. He's had more time with my mother.
Yeah, of course.
But mom says, I go, you see a cat there? And she's like, no. I thought it was a cat, but in fact, it's just a lot of dust. And I'm like, okay. I don't know really what to say to that. Right. You know, like, so you saw dust and you found this roundabout way to point it out to me. And before I can like really like, so that's the thought that's happening in my head. And before I can really like verbalize that and like come up with something clever to say to my mother, she's got a great sense of humor. But before I can get to that point, my brother's face lights up and he looks at me and he goes, your mother's coming over and you're going to clean up the dust on your stairs. And she looks at me and does the exact same thing. And now I'm getting fucking double teamed by two motherfucking Jews. Yeah. And there's no way to get past it. It's like the most like you're just obliterated by it. There's no way to really like navigate that conversation. So I'm like, I find myself in the very stupid position of like, just the knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, no, I meant to like clean up, you know, and she doesn't have a word to say. Brother leans into it, you know, and it's just a whole thing. And really, that is the nature of Judaism. It's just that's what the holiday is all about. It's about kind of like
making someone feel guilty.
It's making somebody feel guilty. It's making somebody feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know, and putting them into a spot where they really don't know what to say.
It's a very fun agency game.
Yeah.
That I like to observe a lot. So I've been around your family for like 20-something years now. I've been able to observe you a bunch, and it's really funny because you are right. You and your brother are kind of like the hillbilly Jews.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, the Beverly Hillbilly Jews is a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's lovely. I love it. It's fantastic. Your mom's like the legit Jew.
She's a proper Jew.
Yeah. Like legit, you know, all affectations and all that. It's fantastic. Your sister is the closest to orthodoxy I've ever seen any Jewish woman ever.
Without being Orthodox, yes.
It's absurd. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, my mother's really been like leaning into it hard lately. She like figured out, it took her whole life, I think, but she actually like cracked the nut of like the type of Jew that she is.
Right.
And she's been doing this to me a lot lately. And like, you guys are the first ones that I'm saying this to.
Oh, sure.
Straight up.
Breaking news.
Yeah, right. I'm talking.
Hot news.
I talk to my mother all the time, right? So we're on the phone. Like I try to call her at least like every other day. You know,
Ibra, how could you not?
Yeah, right.
I mean, what?
And I'm on the phone with her, and I'm just like, "How you doing?" You know, and she's like, "Oh no, what's up? Why are you calling?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just wanted to hear your voice." You know, and she's like, "Oh, that's wonderful. I love hearing from you. That's great. You know, like, what's going on? We'll shoot the shit for a minute." And she's like, "So when are you gonna come and see me?" And I'm like, I'm trying to come and see you. It's just that I'm really busy with work and things like that. And she's like, no, I get it.
Why are you so busy?
You're very busy, and I understand. And you don't have time to come around here. And she's like, listen, I do have that spot on the fence that has the missing screw. Like, if you can fix it at some point, but if you just have any time, I don't even need you to come by and fix that. That's not important to me. All that I want to do is see your face.
Yeah.
But if you don't have time to do that, then that's fine. I can come down and visit you. And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't want you to drive 40 minutes. You're a terrible driver.
40 minutes.
Just, yeah.
Well, I guess she drives slower, but
yeah. Oh, she does. Yeah, she does not take the Parkway to get here. She takes.
Well, that's fair.
She takes Route 9.
Who wants to pay those tolls? It's highway robbery.
You're telling me. And then it's the whole rest of the conversation. It's like 10 minutes of like a nice conversation, and then 10 minutes of me talking her out of driving.
Right.
So that, and I'm arguing with her that I need to go and visit her when the whole point of the call was because I'm not going to visit you this week. I'm doing the call to avoid the track there. That's the whole point. That's
and you just fast-tracked yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And there I find myself. That's Judaism.
Well, she's just a better arguer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it is. That's how you know.
She grew up in a Jewish building. I'm half a fucking.
The whole building the building itself was Jewish.
No, your mother's pure-blooded. You ain't gonna fight that.
There's no beating it. There's no beating it.
No. It is the umpteenth degree of
a lot of what you've described is how, like, my mother is not Jewish at all. She's barely Catholic, but she's Italian.
She's
so
very
it's-
Italian.
So she's very Italian. Like, she's, yeah. I won't delve into that. But it's to say, like, I have these same kind of instances that, you get kind of talked into being guilted.
Yeah.
And, like, you're the one eliciting the guilt on yourself, even though it's all from your mother. And it's like, God damn it. Like, this is why I don't call you. This is why I don't come over, because I don't want to deal with this. But you're always forced to do so.
It's like that. I will say this on the note of your mother, and I've used the lessons that I've learned from my interactions with your mother when you're present. And one of my favorite instances was when she bought you some shorts.
Oh, well, we were doing a lot of cocaine downstairs.
We were doing so. Yeah. So the story behind that just
set the setting.
Dan, if I may. So we were in Moses' basement. And we were doing a bunch of cocaine. That's just like a thing that we were getting into. And and his mother, like he says, Moses goes to me. He's like, nope, stop.
Yeah,
I hear
she's
mom coming down the stairs,
coming
right?
down.
She's coming down. So we put the shit away, and it's like the middle of the day because for some reason we're doing cocaine
Well,
on
why
a
know you're gonna
Tuesday
do
at like
coke?
noon,
Yeah.
And sure enough, there she is. She wanders down, and she's like, "What's going on?"
Damn
and
it.
it was in that moment. That was one of the few instances that were like, I actually like really, I felt like I like channeled who my mother is, because obviously, like the good side to that is that you get some of it,
Right.
That you're one day.
No, you've been
able
in that
to
situation
guilt
before.
somebody. Yeah.
And you were just like, oh, well, it's not on me, so let me feed into this. And you
Exactly.
did like an Eddie Haskell kind of thing.
And she was like, and it was great because your mother, on the note of like the difference between Italians and Jews, your mother's like, I got you some shorts, and I'm like, awesome, that's great. and you're like, thank you very much, Mom.
Yeah, let's speed this up.
Take your
and-
shorts and leave.
I was at Kohl's. They were 40% off.
That's exactly where she got them.
And then she's like lingering. She's just chilling.
She just wants to hang out because
And she's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm so good. I'm just hanging out with your son. We're just having a great time. Totally
Here
not
in the
doing-
basement.
Definitely not doing cocaine.
all I want to do is another line,
Yeah.
and nothing can make
And
this
then
faster.
and Moses, you're trying to like shoo her out. You were like being like straight up. And I will say this is one of the notable differences that I've observed between people. I would never, and this is not a judgment on you, but like I would never like try and shoo my mom out of the room. It's like a super taboo, I think. Whereas with Italian folks, it's my observation is that it's more cool to like just talk to your family how you actually feel about them.
Well, that's how the
Yeah.
Italian household works. Is you just say what you say, and without any regard to feelings or any or couth or any of that. You just let it, it's also
you just let it flow.
But I'm also adopted, so I'm also on this outer kind of fucking thing where, come on, like let's get the fuck out of here,
So
man.
she's like, she's chilling. He's trying to shoo her out. Rightfully so. She was very much
I
so
just
like,
want to do cocaine.
Well, your mom would always
Yeah.
come down and pop a squat.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's
because she
just-
would be like, "Oh, you guys are drinking? I'm drunk."
Right? Yeah. I
Hanging
have my
with the
bottle of
boys.
Yeah.
Fireball, and
And she'd
then-
have like 3 more in her pocket.
And then that was like that moment where like struck me in my mind, and I genuinely like it was like my mother was there with me, but in a positive way. And I really like I genuinely felt it. And like as she was like getting ready, like you'd see the body language, she's like
Yeah.
getting ready to turn out and go back out of the room.
And then she turns around.
And I looked at you and I was like, aren't you going to try them on?
yeah.
And she turned back around and she's like, oh, yeah, you should try them on. I'm like, yeah, come on. You gotta try it. Your mother went all the way out of her way.
It was my
to
mistake
go and-
for not just dropping trow right there in front of both of you and being like, "This is what you want?
Yeah.
Fine."
She went all the way out of her way to go and buy you a pair of
She go
shorts.
out of her way.
Yeah, she went out of her way to buy you a pair of shorts, and you're not going to try them on. You know, she
it was
took
on
the
her way
time
to
out
the
of her
fucking
day.
Fireball store.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's fine. But I mean, no, that's fine. If you don't want to
No,
try
she
it.
calls it that. She called. This was in Vegas when we were getting married. I had to find her on some back alley because she got lost because she had to buy a bottle of Fireball for this 3-day trip she was on, which was also my wedding, my wedding weekend. Like she got lost, and I.
Moses is good at guilt. I take this back.
Yeah. No, he's showing his cards. He's got some skills.
There's a little bit of Jew in there.
Yeah.
So I have something as I recover from the Fireball store comment, which I find hilarious.
You've never been around my mother enough to hear the tales of the Fireball store.
I can verify
and what
that she is like
what
this.
they could have. What could they possibly have? Like, I just traveled maybe 3/4 of the way across the country, and that was a long flight, and I had Fireball there, but I need to have Fireball in my room. Why? It's fucking Las Vegas. There's Fireball just like trickling down the fucking roads. They don't even have rain there. They have Fireball. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm
Getting all fired up.
Yeah, I'm.
That's that Jew blood.
It's getting a little flipped.
So I have a reoccurring joke with my mom that she's not so your mom, I would say, is like the stereotypical Jewish mother that staked a darker territory.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas my mom is like a stereotypical Jewish mom. Again, the Italian amalgamation in that. There was one year my brother was by. He came by. His oldest daughter now is like little, like 1 year old or something like that. And she's off to bed. It's just myself, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my mom. And she's talking about Thanksgiving and how, like, oh, it's so good to have you all here because normally on Thanksgiving I make a big, I just make a turkey, and I make all the sides, I make a big meal, and then
Guilt incoming.
And then I just end up spending Thanksgiving alone. And
To die in the rain.
And the second she said that, I just started laughing. I was just like, Mom, you sound like such a stereotypical Jewish mother right now. And my sister-in-law was just like she couldn't laugh.
Right.
Because
No, this
like,
is everything she wanted to say,
Yeah.
but she can't.
And so with this reoccurring gag, a couple years later, like my mom never really tells me like what she wants for like Christmas. So I actually have to like guess sometimes.
Yeah.
And so 1 year, or sometimes it's even worse. Like, oh, just give me like a gift card to
Right, right.
Lowe's.
I
or
think
something
that's
like that.
just mothers in general.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so I played a little gag on her this year, like, all right, you're going to do this to me every single year. You're going to guilt me. I don't get her like the traditional card. I seek out the one that says, Happy Hanukkah.
Attaboy.
And then when she gets it, she looks right at me and just starts laughing.
Yeah. That's how it's done.
Yeah. You gotta.
You have to give it back, or you have to know the game.
Yeah.
And, it's usually coming from your mother. So you've had so many years to learn the game, like to learn that specific part of a nuanced game.
Yeah.
Well, what I would absolutely say is it's nice to see ethnic religiosity have a sense of humor.
And it's weird how similar they all are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're all identical.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I consider Jews to be like the kings and queens of that type of bullshit.
Yeah.
But everybody does the same fucking.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody does.
The Italians are as close to the Jews as you could get without being Jewish.
Italians in this, and that correlates back to, and that's what I was trying to get at. But it's like my mother's upbringing right next to the so she like the Jewish building, as it were, and it was right next to a quote unquote Italian building, exactly, and they all just like intermingled with each other, but the culture is shared as well. So even though everybody considers themselves extremely unique, and they bring these things over from the old world, the reality of it is that when you got to this country, things did mix.
There's a lot of shared ground there.
At the same time, because my mother was raised Catholic, she couldn't get married to my father because he was Protestant or whatever the fuck he was, or Lutheran.
Yeah, Lutheran, I believe you said at one point.
Yeah, he's one of them. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But he would practice a lot of Catholicism thing, like taking me to church because I went to a Catholic school, and I guess he just felt the need to do it. I don't know. And he also enjoyed he enjoyed it a lot more than he let on. But they weren't allowed to get married in a Catholic church, even though my mother's family lived right across the street from a goddamn church, and like they were close with the priest who eventually became a bishop or whatever the higher ups are.
Yeah.
Like it's bizarre because then she, like when your mother gave me that 23andMe or whatever the fuck it was, and it came out that I'm just like I'm a quarter Jewish in at least ethnicity.
The ethnic.
Yeah. And she's like, huh. That kind of. She was like, she was like, huh. You know what? That kind of makes sense. Like now, just her recollecting on what a douchebag I was as a kid, and how I would just argue.
Jews are shitty people.
Well, I would argue at every turn. Like it's like, oh, you you like wearing pants? Like, nah, I hate wearing pants. And like, meanwhile, I love wearing pants. And it was just like something so innocuous as that. And she's like, nah, you would argue. And you had some good arguments.
I'll say this, I mean, in terms of the differences, and this is something that I'll add on, and I don't know if I ever shared this with you guys, but I found it to be very interesting when I go down to Colombia, where my father's from.
Yeah.
My aunt there, who's like fucking what, like 80 or 85 now? She's an old fucking
She's
lady,
got to be
right?
mid-80s.
She is a devout fucking Catholic. She's at church all the time.
Lovely,
She goes,
but hardcore.
yeah, she's super fucking into that. And it's the difference between like American culture and Spanish culture in South America, but also obviously a difference between like the way in which we depict our cultural religion.
Exactly
But
right.
I found it so fascinating. She said to me, and like there's a bit of a language barrier between us because my Spanish sucks and she speaks no English, but she said to me, she was like, we're Jews. And I looked at her and I was like, am I misunderstanding you? You know, because again, she's fucking at church every goddamn day.
But that's quite enlightening that she recognizes that
Which
part
is
of
very
the
interesting, 'cause
Catholicism.
it
it is.
You don't see Americans who are Catholics do that very often.
No.
But she was like, I was like, am I misunderstanding you? And my cousin came over and translated, you know, to like make it easier for us. And she was like, no, she's like, we're Catholics now, but we were Jews once. And she's like, and back in the day, if you go back hundreds and hundreds of years, we were Jews. Now, in fairness, she did lean into like the stereotypes of it, probably true.
Well,
but
she also told me about the Chinese people that one time.
Right, yeah. But she's like, that's why we're so good with
that
money.
story.
You know, and I'm like, that's probably true, Rosie.
Well, there's a reason that stereotypes exist. It's because they're not
based off
they're
of
not
nothing.
lies.
Yeah.
They're exaggerated truths, more or less.
She had told me because she had never seen a Chinese funeral that the Chinese eat their dead.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
quite shocking to her. Yeah.
That's a leap, but all right. Like, I mean,
She is, and I do mean this fully, she is one of the most loveliest people you ever meet in
She
your
really
life.
is. Yeah.
But there are some things that are wild.
Well, yeah, I mean,
She's very old-fashioned.
but that goes with any old person in your family.
Exactly
like,
right.
regardless of what you believe or follow, you're gonna find those weird ones that
What
are
I-
just like strict to the book of their old world.
What I found so interesting is that she doesn't readily observe the difference that we see.
Right.
Where we see is like Jews and Catholics are totally different groups of people, and she doesn't see that. She sees it as that Jews are one group of people, and then Catholics came from them.
Yes.
But they're basically the same group.
yeah.
So she views Catholics and Jews as
Probably
being
in the
same.
right way, and the way that it might have been
Well, she's
even
more-
intended in the old, like when it was at the beginning. That's probably how it was kind of intended.
She's more right in that obviously Christianity came from
Yes.
Judaism.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Genesis.
Oh no,
So
definitely.
she's more right.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that's worth.
technically right, and that's the best kind of right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love her. And she'll somehow outlive us all.
Probably.
So you guys were talking about sharing culture a little bit, and Ibram, you do this every year.
Sure do.
Right around Hanukkah, you throw a Hanukkah. Can't even call it a party.
It's kind of like a hullabaloo
It's
or
like a
something.
bag.
I like the hullabaloo idea.
It's
of
a
it,
celebration of lights, then.
Oh, it definitely is. Do you mind explaining how you make it a festival of lights?
No, I don't mind at all. I think that basically Hanukkah, the general essence of it, it's all about basically the Jews' return to Jerusalem, their reconquering of it. A theme that seems to be repeating itself throughout time, for better or worse.
Hey, baby.
Let's just stick to the old story.
So basically, you've got your menorah and what have you. And my general sentiment about it is that while I find myself to be, I'm very proud of being Jewish and what have you, but the truth of it is that we're all Americans, and I love Christmas.
Yeah.
My mother loves Christmas. This is our big holiday. But I can't have a Christmas party because everybody else has a Christmas
Right,
party.
of course.
So
yeah.
I figured, what's the one thing that I can do? And it's a Hanukkah party. So I chose to do a Hanukkah party a few years ago, and obviously we've been doing it since then.
It was a success.
It was a success. And the way in which I like to go about it is with a menorah that is made of fireworks. Because
That's mixing the American and the Jew together, and who doesn't love explosions?
Exactly. We all love explosions. God knows, the Americans do, the Jews do. We all love it. And my general take on it is that there's the bravado that exists both in American culture and in Jewish culture. This is Jewish culture is the culture of like, I've got a Rolex Rolex watch, and I'm going to show it off because that's my thing. You know, it's a culture of kind of just showing what you've got. It's that stereotype once again. But at the same time, there's this other element there where there is that religious quality that we need to show off the menorah in this case.
The only thing I'm thinking of now is from Rick and Morty when they go to that fucking planet and the sun is there. He's like, show me what you got. and I mean, you do it. And I guess because we haven't been destroyed, so.
We haven't been destroyed yet, yeah. But
Thank you.
So my sentiment is that we set up a menorah, and the point of it is of course, you know, for if you're a proper Jew, then you wanna light the candles, and we do them in the proper order. We do it at my mother's home. We light them in order. It's me and my brother. My sister does take part, and so on and so forth. And it's a lovely experience, and it's done in the more or less traditional way. When I have the party at my home, then I do like to have fireworks there because I know that Jewish holidays are pretty somber and they're actually very sad.
Very depressing.
Yeah. They're mostly about beating you down.
Yeah.
And I'm not really like, that's something that I love about Christianity, that we mask over all of the horrors that Christianity has done throughout its time. And we just have a really nice holiday where we pretend that Christ was born in the winter instead of the springtime.
And he's white.
Clearly, and he's white. It's clearly a pagan
plastered it all on top of pagan shit and said, "This is our
literally
new,
a pagan holiday." Yeah, exactly. So, like, I like to endorse like the proper Jewish holiday for what it is, but at the same time, like, why can't we have fun with it? Why do we have to be miserable? We could just have some fireworks, you know?
Yeah, you just wrap a copper wire around it and it's all good, right?
That's not wrong. Yeah. But yeah, so we have an 8-foot wide menorah, stands about 8 feet tall, and we've got it laced in all sorts of fireworks, and we light that off. Sometimes the cops show up, which is very awkward.
Typically, they do.
It's like every other year.
I would say it's every other.
Maybe sometimes these other parties get conflated together.
And I'll tell you something, a little side note here. I was really thinking about wearing my Nazi uniform to this year's Hanukkah party.
Call back to the Halloween episode.
Yeah, and like I don't know if, like, I don't know how the cops, like, I know the cops are probably into that. So, like, I know they're
that
not
might
going to
get
be
you off this time because they've been here 100 times.
But it's also really awkward to have a conversation with any other human being who isn't your friend when you're wearing a fucking Waffen SS.
Well, I will say this.
Terrible.
Many years ago, I had to watch you have a conversation with the cops when you were a white man.
Oh, you remember that? That was
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Oh, he was in
I was in whiteface.
He was
like
in
Dave
whiteface.
Chappelle, whiteface. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Malarkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got into
Yeah,
a
exactly
full-fledged
right.
argument.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was great.
Did you say malarkey?
I did not say my
No,
I
no,
should
no.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Opportunity missed,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
There's always this year.
He handled it well, and he was so white.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. My sister's a fantastic makeup artist, so we made that
She
work.
really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did a number there. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of it. It's a delightful menorah, a lot of fireworks.
I'm surprised it's still standing considering how many years it's
well.
been
I've built more than one.
I was about to say.
Oh, that isn't the first.
That
isn't
is
the original?
not. Definitely not.
No,
I thought
rebuilt
you
them.
had built it and then just repaired it and made
Moses,
it better.
let me jump in here. Can you explain to the audience the process of, building these menorahs? Like, because you explained like it's 8 foot tall. Like, how long did this process take of building these?
All right, so basically, the one that I have this year, I've built it out of like, 2x6s, 2x8s, and so on and so forth. So it's like proper structural lumber. But the gist of it is that I just do like a fucking ledge where we can set up all of the fireworks on top of that. More or less, the structure that I build is just something where we can put fireworks. It's because that's really the gist of it. I know that no one cares about Hanukkah in the same way as nobody really cares about Christmas that much.
That's fair. That's a fair
It's
thing,
not
yeah.
like that's not what you're in it for. You're in it for all of these
The
other
gifts.
things.
The fun parts,
The
not
fun
the-
parts, yeah. So yeah, basically the menorah is just a structure on which I can house the fireworks. That said, there are $2,000 worth of fireworks on any one of those menorahs.
Oh, that seems late this year then.
How long?
So I know there's been bigger bounties on the past menorahs.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to build one of these menorahs?
So the very first one that I built, unfortunately, it happened to be a cold snap that year. So I built it. I was doing it outside. I didn't have a lot of room indoors, so I did it outside. That one was only about maybe 6 or 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it took me several hours, and my fingertips were absolutely frozen. They were just like shivering off of my fucking body. It was brutal.
Everything
But-
comes with sacrifice.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what Hanukkah's
it's
all
pretty-
about. Yeah, that's what it's all about. But no, it took several hours. Yeah, it took a long fucking time. It was fucking brutally cold out for it. But yeah, you suffer through it for the fireworks.
Well, if I can give
it's all
some
about.
credit,
Yeah.
I think you've really kind of got it down.
Yes.
With a very
Doing
nice
well now,
menorah. Maybe the timing of the fireworks could use a little work.
I'm working
Well,
on it.
Well, that's more fuse play than anything.
I will give him credit because in a stereotypical Jewish fashion, he always has this party
Yeah.
on the same goddamn day as the Army-Navy game, which I used to go to every year. Unfortunately, the last few years, I just watch it at home.
or here.
Oh, no, that was Navy Air Force.
Yeah.
And that was 9/11.
Never forget.
No, that's fine, Dan. I understand. If you don't want to come to my party,
Oh, here
it's
it
no
comes.
big deal.
Here it comes.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
And that's-
If Dan, no,
And that's
no, no.
where
Country
it
is more
comes
important
from,
than your
ladies and
faith.
gentlemen.
if Dan doesn't want to come to the party, that's fine. He doesn't have to come. It's not
Feel
a
the
big deal.
power of the inflection.
Yeah.
It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. It's not a big
No,
deal.
no, Dan, it's fine.
Don't, no,
It's
Dan,
fine.
Dan, no,
No,
really,
it's
no,
fine.
really.
It's like
If you
that
don't- if you-
Exorcist
Dan,
thing.
Dan,
The power of
Dan,
Christ
you're
compels you.
a
The
friend of
power
mine.
Jew
I
compels
love you dearly.
I'm standing
if
over
you don't
here,
have
I'm
time to
collateral
come to the
damage.
party, if you don't have time to come to the party because you need to watch, and I understand it, that's an important game for you.
Yeah, you sports ball.
wanna-
It's
you
my
want-
fucking Hanukkah,
Yeah,
buddy.
no, absolutely. No, you want to enjoy your Hanukkah, and that's
Those
fine.
games
And
do
if
go
you
on
want
for
to
8
enjoy your hockey Navy game, I completely understand. It's no
The
big
whole
deal.
hockey goes against the Navy?
Yeah.
At least they got a fighting chance.
Yeah.
God damn you.
As long as you enjoy it. That's what all that I want is for you to be happy on that day.
There he is.
And if
From
that's
There she
no,
is.
that's fine. You don't have to explain yourself.
From about 2002 to 2016, I was enjoying myself. It was somewhere around 2016 everything started going to shit.
Well, you shouldn't have got in that quantum leap machine.
I mean, I'm sorry. I was trying to quantum leap to the time where Navy was always winning
Dan, you
that
don't
game.
have to apologize
there's not
to
a
him.
time.
You don't have to apologize to him.
You make it such a schlep. Honestly. You make it such a schlep.
You guys are both being a bunch of slamazes.
He's a mensch.
Like I said, on my mom's side, fairly religious agnostic. But one of my favorite things is every Christmas, my grandmother, my mom's mom, would give us gelt for Christmas.
Gelt's a great gift.
It is a great gift.
Like, who doesn't love chocolate coins?
And if you've never had it, yeah, it's the chocolate coins in that gold foil wrap.
It's not even like gold leaf where you could just eat the
No, it's
gold
just foil
itself.
wrap.
But yeah,
is
it's
good.
a pain
Yeah.
in the ass to unwrap. But
It's about the journey.
it is about yeah, exactly. It is about the journey and just unwrapping that, and then you're finally done with it. And you're like, oh, I got chocolate, and then it's just like
Well,
garbage
it's just
chocolate.
so funny. I got this for years, and it wasn't until I was damn near an adult. I'm like, you're giving us gelt every year for Christmas?
I used to get the same thing before I knew I was Jewish, and I was just like it wasn't until I was older that I knew what the fuck it was.
Right.
And I'm just like, this is weird. Like, why is Santa giving me gelt in my stocking? Like,
Well, that's what it was, because it comes in a little mesh baggie.
yeah, oh yeah.
it's
Like
the
I could
best.
catch tadpoles with it or something. Like if I was to reutilize it.
And all right, so we had a chocolate shop in the area, Van Houten's or something.
I know.
Oh, I know the one.
And that's what she would go,
Van
blah, blah,
Houten.
blah. Yeah, Van Houten, yeah. And my grandma oh, I got you these, it was gelt, but
Yeah.
I got you these chocolate coins for Christmas.
Can you imagine that?
One of the greatest things I remember about getting gelt was there was a one time that I was looking at the gelt itself and like what they had on the
Right.
wrapper,
Yeah.
and they were the fucking Kennedy coins that were like $50.
Right,
And it was
right.
just bizarre to me. I'm like, oh, I got a gold Kennedy because I had a couple of these I gathered them up in passing, and I look and this was when I was like really coming of age and questioning everything that I've been fucking taught. And it was like, I'm looking at it and it's fucking Kennedy on there. And I'm like, I don't think Kennedy was a Jew.
Can't prove that.
Wow.
Well, that was, and then I'm just like, wait a minute. None of this makes sense. I unwrapped it, over days. I unwrapped it and ate the goddamn chocolate, but it was just like bizarre to me. I'm like, wait, maybe none of this is real.
We infiltrate everything. Jews are everywhere.
Are you guys responsible for JFK?
I'm not going to support or deny that.
All right, I'll just throw it out there.
I want to bring this back to the party. because I'd be remiss if we didn't bring this up. Every year, you find either a design or a piece of art to make into a flyer to hand out to everybody.
I do. That's true.
Can you, for the audience,
Yes.
describe some of these flyers?
Yes, I can, and I would be happy to, Dan. Where did we begin with these
Oh,
flyers?
okay. That's some deep depth shit. That's
I know that if you want to chime in at any point, Justin, but I can tell you that for sure. One of my most proud ones was it was Jesus as a Jew
yes.
breaking his way
Yes.
off of a cross.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Which was just delightful to me. I found that from like a Christian website.
Yeah.
Where like
they're good for
that's-
that type of shit.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like as a Jew, I just found it always like so comical that's like, I don't know, I guess just like in general, like the Christ thing by itself, and I know that's like that's the staple obviously of Christianity, but it's funny like the ways in which he's depicted, but the guy was a Jew.
Yeah.
And so like I love that aspect of it. That said, because I cannot remember all of them, the one that I chose to do this year was Adolf Hitler with with the Star of David on his arm instead of a
I am
swastika.
looking at it right now,
Yeah.
and it is a thing of beauty.
It really is, yeah. I like to have fun with it and make them shocking to people. And I love that people are sometimes like deeply offended by them. Because like I send them to you guys because you're my friends.
yeah.
But like sometimes like obviously I know that they like get out into the midst of it, you know?
And if I can interject real quick, like we'd love to show you these things, people, but they'll get flagged off of anything we try to show.
Yeah, YouTube's
Absolutely.
gonna take this shit down.
We definitely
It's
can't.
Hitler.
We can't do this year's, but there's one. I think it was last year where it was Donald Trump, like on a horse riding.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah.
I think I still have those files.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
need them
Yeah.
to post up.
What I will
whatever.
say, we'll look over them, the ones we can share, if you go to our Instagram and stuff,
Yeah.
because I
Well,
have them
yeah.
still, and I have videos from the menorah,
Yeah,
The menorah
you
fireworks.
definitely
Oh,
should
nice.
share
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
and we will share those
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty good. I mean, Menorah's not bad. But the Donald Trump.
The Donald Trump ones are the best one. You went a little far with the Hitler one, but that's what you do.
You know what
just
it was?
use your imagination for the Hitler one.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The only reason that I did the Hitler one is that just to dial back on that a little bit. Is that last year I really I one-up myself
Yes.
by doing the Jesus one.
Yeah.
And that was difficult to surpass. And now you got all this shit happening in the Middle East and what have you. And I didn't want it to read, for my own
Anti-Semitic,
personal.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. Well, no, actually, quite the
no,
opposite.
no,
Yeah, quite the opposite.
Pro-Semitic?
Despite being,
You don't wanna be
despite
pro-Semitic?
being Jewish, I'm not a huge fan of what's happening in the Middle East. I want I don't want to get into this.
No,
but,
no,
Yeah.
we don't have
I
dates
think you already
around
dipped your
this.
toe in that.
We do not have the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we are, El Shifa Hospital.
All right.
Maybe we'll do a politics again in the future,
Is it
but
still
not
standing?
right
The Hitler one is about having fun and playing with the holiday. And I will say this, as a Jew who is very proud of that fact, I think that we should all be able to joke about whoever we are and allow other people to joke about that type of thing as well. In other words, nothing that you are, or, however you identify yourself or your history or culture, none of that is so fucking sanctified that people shouldn't be able to drag you through the mud a little bit.
I could
In a
not agree with
respectful
you
way,
more.
you know?
Like there is something freeing about humor.
Yeah.
Even if it may be to some people crass or worse.
Yeah.
But like if you are part of that group, you should have the ability to express that any way
Yeah.
you can.
Laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find the humility in it. And
Yeah,
this is
because it makes it
something-
easier to digest.
Exactly. And I'll say this, and I could say this about any one of for any of us or for any of the groups or identities that I find myself
Sure.
belonging to. But it's that when I'm hanging out at the bar or something like that, and I say something that's very, unpopular.
Risque.
You
Yeah,
know.
very risque.
No.
And I'll have people who get into an argument with me, and they're like, "Well, you're just anti-Semitic," and I'll finish the argument with them. I'll finish the argument, and I'll finish my point, and we'll get all the way to the end of it, and they're kind of like, "Fuck you," And I go, "Well, fuck you then too." And they go, "Well, you're just a fucking anti-Semite," and I'm like, "You know what? I didn't mention it the whole fucking time, but guess what?
What?
I'm fucking
I'm a
Jewish.
Jew,
Yeah,
baby.
I'm 100% Semite.
And it's always somebody who's, as we would call them, a Gentile.
Yeah.
It's always
Goyim.
somebody who's not. Yeah, that's our word. And
That's what I
it's
says.
always
You can only say
somebody
it a quarter of the time.
who's not a member of that group. And my general sentiment about it is that, like, I should be allowed to say whatever I want, but so should you.
Yes.
You know, and that's usually the point that I make to people is that, like, the point that I was making, and obviously I'm referring to like a political or a, a more serious argument than what we're talking about here. But I say to him, I'm like, the way that I feel about some group of people has nothing to do with the debate that I'm having with you. They're two completely unrelated things. And the fact that I'm a Jew has just nothing to do with that. That said, we should all be able to laugh and enjoy what we are. Yeah. And you guys know this. I fucking make fun of you motherfuckers for being fucking like Italian or whatever.
Well earned.
Fucking mix or some shit.
Every episode.
Moses is a goddamn chameleon.
That has served me well through. We're not doing that podcast. Never mind.
I don't know what that means.
I was going to be slipping through time, but
Ladies and gentlemen, before we leave you, we would like to send you off with a little bit of a history lesson.
Oh, an oldie but a goodie.
Yes. Moses does history, but this time, Moses, tell us, what is Hanukkah?
Hanukkah, brother. Let me tell you about what Hanukkah is. Let me get down to the nitty-gritty. Hanukkah is a holiday about religious freedom. You want to be free, right? You want to celebrate whatever you want. You want to celebrate any time you want. You want to do it into Christmas time, you do it into Christmas time. And we call it Hanukkah. It's a little bit predecessory of the Christianity thing, but whatever. That's where the Jewish people, they gather the friends and family together, sing songs, they say blessings, they light the menorah, and then they listen to the Loud and Drunk podcast, because that's what any good Jew would do. It's a time of remembering their religious heritage and a time of bringing family together and listening to the Loud and Drunk podcast.
I didn't realize that we had such a central role in this holiday.
Wow.
Oh my God! Oh brother, let me tell you. Let me get down to the nitty gritty. Oh yeah, here it comes. When you gather family together and you listen to the Loud and Drunk podcast, it is a reminder of the 2,000-year-old story of one little cruse of oil and the miracle of deliverance that God has wrought upon his people, and that is the Loud and Drunk podcast. Oh yeah!
That went wildly antebellum south for a moment there.
That was a mix of antebellum. There was a little bit of Macho Man Randy Savage in there. I can't escape the
And the
wrestling-
Jews are the cream of the crop. Let me tell you, they always
rise to the top.
No one can see me using this marker cap. But
For everybody out there in listener land,
to the top.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that with a cigarette in my head.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Well, how can we beat that?
Before we end, if you'll indulge me a moment, I brought gifts.
Oh,
What?
this is you
is a thing?
do realize this is not a visual medium.
I don't know that for a fact.
that?
I thought you got food delivered.
No, I didn't get pliable.
Yeah. Is that
This is one is for him. Yeah, pass it down. Jesus. God
All right, we will do our best. This is an audio medium, but we will.
These are
All right,
this
I am
is
currently
these gifts.
Jewish rapping?
gift.
These gifts are in remembrance of a conversation we had not too long ago when I was drunk on meat.
Oh, meat drunk.
Oh my God! It's a fucking butterscotch.
Oh,
Yep.
you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
All right, so I will
We
describe
did text
to you.
about this.
Yeah. I actually drove him to the supermarket.
Yeah, you saw when we did
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
God damn it.
What we have been gifted is a Keller's brand Butter Sculptures turkey-shaped salted butter.
It's literally shaped like a turkey.
That's what I said.
It's butter that's shaped like a turkey.
That's what I said it was, and nobody believed me, but here I am.
Moses,
Creating miracles.
you know what your job is now, right?
To eat the butter?
You gotta take a picture of this, a good picture,
Yeah.
so it can be posted to
Yeah.
Instagram.
Oh,
and all that.
I actually have one from when we...
No, we will take a better picture than me
Somebody take a better
realizing you weren't a liar.
Well, it was fun. That was a fun time for me.
And if you want to see that picture, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast, leave us a 5-star review, check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell. You can see the picture of this butter sculpture on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Never thought you'd say that.
What, TikTok?
This is really making me improv during my closing.
Dan, I would also indulge me a little bit further.
God damn it, Moses. If you enjoyed this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter at loudanddrunk.locals.com and patreon.com/loudandrunk. Justin, do you have any closing thoughts?
I've had a great time. I've learned a lot, I think. And, tune in to see some butter sculptures.
Ibram.
L'chaim and grace be to God.
Moses, you specifically asked for this.
Yeah, that was earlier when I was thinking. But I would like to indulge me a moment, listeners and clientele here. I don't know what you guys are. I would like to read a passage from the book of Yashayahu.
Oh, boy.
All right. Let me. I hope I pronounced this right. Klaatu Barda. No, wait, that was the wrong. That's the wrong book.
Yeah, no,
wrong
easy,
book.
easy.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Isaiah 60:19. The sun shall be no more your light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Loud and Drunk podcast shall be unto thee as an everlasting light. And your hosts, Dan, Justin, Moses, and Rabbi Ibrahim Rubinowitz will be your glory.
You're going to get smote so hard.
It's Ibrahim.
So, for Justin, Moses, Ibram, I'm Dan. Thank you for joining us. Until next time,
Shalom, bitches!
L'chaim!
We love you. Bye-bye. Jesus fucking Christ.
That was fun.
I like how you stepped on your own plan.